Good afternoon, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. And it is December, so Christmas is right around the corner. So I thought I would do a Christmas related tag. I didn't want to do I thought there might have been a cookie inspired tag out there, but if there is one, I didn't see it. But I did see this one, the Cozy Christmas Book Tag. Created by Call Me After Coffee, and I literally just subscribed to her channel because she's is a fan of a lot of channels that I really like, and I liked her tag, so I figured after I listen to her, watch her video, then I would go ahead and subscribe to her. So this is the Cozy Christmas Book Tag. It has 8 questions. So here goes. Question number 1. Twinkling Lights. What is the most beautiful book you own? Now, with this question and there's another question about the what is the ugliest book you own? And I really struggle with it because I never really, with book now being part of the BookTube community and having watched BookTube a little bit longer than that, I am aware of covers and their physical appearance and all that, but I'm not just saying this, I generally have never really thought about, none of my books, to me, I never feel like, oh, this is such an ugly cover, or this is such a beautiful cover. Although, I am more prone to be like, oh, this is such a beautiful cover, I want that cover. In fact, today, when I was at the library, I saw the edition of The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. I saw the edition that I did want there, and I was like, and it was kind of in these things where I was like, oh, I would have loved to got that one instead, but I had been waiting for the paperback, and I finally saw it, and it had a different cover, and I was like, the hardback's a little bit more expensive, so I'm going to stick with the paperback. So I'm thinking along the lines of, when it comes to covers, if I'm going to get, I'm not really thinking of which, actually, now I think about it, I should probably stop at this because I'm kind of answering question number 2 already. So I will continue explaining that once I'm done answering this question. So I do have an answer for this question. And that is I ended up grabbing one of those Barnes & Noble hardback, I think they're called Leatherbound editions. And I've shown these before in videos, but I ended up grabbing this one, my Shakespeare edition, my Shakespeare one. This is one of the ones, they have gold embossed pages, they have a ribbon bookmark, and I love the border around it, the red and gold border around it. It kind of matches the gold embossed pages, and it's the same way on the back. And then there's this portrait, the familiar portrait that this is the portrait that not this exact, but this is the look most people see when they think of Shakespeare. Although, going by Shakespeare, a lot of people think Shakespeare was a little better looking than this, but I think that's, they're not going to cast someone in a movie biopic or whatever that's unattractive. And again, not that Shakespeare's unattractive, it's just that Joseph Fiennes, Ralph Fiennes' brother, looked a little bit better looking than Shakespeare. But this is his complete works. I don't know if I'll ever really go through these because Shakespeare's just, the writing style is a little more challenging for me to read, and I have better time at getting into it when I see an on-screen adaptation of it, and when we discuss it in an academic setting. But all of my books like this are beautiful, It's just that they're $20 to $30 to buy them, and there are cheaper ones. But I think that's mostly those ones with the dust jackets. So this is my pretty book. Now back to question number 2. Like I said, I kind of started to answer that question just now. We're talking about how I don't really pay attention or consider if I find a cover ugly or really beautiful. But there are times when I do think, oh, I would have loved that edition, or that really is a beautiful edition. In this case, it was Kate Morton's The Clockmaker's Daughters. It's the hardback with the clock face on it on the cover. I really liked that edition. I almost wanted to buy that edition, but then I was, again, I'm thinking, well, the paperback's a little cheaper and easier to travel with. So the actual question is, the perfect tree. Will you pay more to get the prettiest edition of a book? And that's debatable. I might not. Most likely I won't, but there's a chance I might, because I'm not always, I can be a little careless with my money. I mean, thankfully, my parents are, I get guilt trips from them, not them directly making me feel guilty, but their voices are in my head, so to speak, and I, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh no, I shouldn't get this is too expensive. But I would be very tempted to pay for a pretty edition, and I don't know if one day when I'm actually on my own and my parents are no longer with me anymore, maybe, although I will have my sister to corral me, not that it's her responsibility to control my habits, but she might be the voice in my head one day. So I would like to, but I probably wouldn't, because I would feel really guilty. I would ask for it for Christmas though, or for a birthday gift, but I wouldn't actually, I don't know if I would have it in me to actually spend the money myself. Okay, so question number 3 is, build a snowman. Do you wanna build a snowman? I'm not gonna even bother saying. But make a Christmas book stack, and you can either do it by color or by theme. I decided to go with, and I'm not going to lift that if you can see it. I went with a color theme of blue and white, to kind of like wintry snowman vibe. What's the color is it? Because I think a lot of people would probably go with the route of red and green with this tag, but I decided to go with a completely different. Okay, so question number 4, Crackling Fire. A book that makes you feel warm and cozy. Oh, okay, I get a little problem here. Okay, let's see. Okay, I didn't pick out a book for this one, not technically. Okay, I don't like doing this, but you know what? I'm gonna waste time if I don't do this, so I'm just gonna use the same book for 2 questions, because I would have to go look for. And I don't think any of my books are really any of the books I have here are really cozy. Well, unless you kind of like. Well, wait, no, I got one. I'll go with this one, and I'm gonna say, and it's not this one. This is the second one, and I haven't read the second one, but I'm gonna say a book that makes me feel warm and cozy is. Oh well, I guess I can keep read the Lost City one, because I feel like middle grade has a warm and cozy feeling to it. But this is the second one, but the book I'm actually talking about, Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow. This is the second one, Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow. I have not read it yet, but I will read it soon. I gotta read it now before the third book comes out. But this is about a little girl that in her little town where she lives, she is told her whole life that she is a cursed child. So everything that goes wrong in her town is her fault. So she has to apologize to everybody all the time, even though it's clearly, how can it be her fault? I mean, it's ridiculous. But this is also middle grade, so it's all whimsy and silliness. But So one day during a special ceremony that they have in their town where children will get patrons, Morgan somehow gets several patrons. And because she's a cursed child, everyone's like freaking out. It doesn't make any sense. So one of her patron requests shows up, and that is the mysterious Jupiter North. He's this eccentric man, and he offers to take her away before. I forgot to mention that she, along with her curse, she is told that on her 11th birthday she will die. So, right on her 11th birthday, Jupiter North arrives and offers her a chance to come with him to his home to be part of the Wondrous Society. But and of course she accepts, but when she gets there, she realizes that she must pass a series of tests to prove herself worthy to join the Wondrous Society. And like I said, this is the second book. This is such a it's middle grade, so it's whimsical, so it's whimsical, it's magical. A lot of people get Harry Potter vibes from this one, although I think The Keeper of the Lost City series, as I said in my when I talked about the fourth book, that one gives more Harry Potter vibes than this series. But this actually gives me more Alice in Wonderland vibes, if you think about it. Well, that reminds me, I could have also said The Wizard of Oz or Alice in Wonderland for this question. But like I said, I just wanted to not get up again. But this is just the whimsicalness, the magical world, and, her innocence and vulnerability, and just, it's such a sweet, so far it's a sweet, this first book was such a sweet story, and I can't wait to read the second one. And, despite this is a fantasy, and of course dangerous things are going to happen to this poor little girl, it's still, I feel like middle grade just gives you warm, fuzzy, and cozy vibes. And unfortunately, I don't read a lot of contemporary. I read mostly fantasy, so with the exception of more adult contemporaries, I'll read like adult contemporaries possibly, but that gives me. So I don't really have a contemporary that I could say gives me warm, cozy vibes. Okay, so question number 5. Knee-high socks, which I'm not wearing right now. I'm wearing regular ankle socks. What is the longest book you've read? And I am saying, I think this one is longer than Gone with the Wind. That's another really long book that I've actually read. And I'm in the middle of the next longest book I hope to finish and read. It's an older book. It's Count of Monte Cristo, and that, yes, it's exciting and thrilling. You just want to keep going but it's kind of more, not as, it's still fast paced, but there's a lot more in it. And sometimes there are moments of slow and steadiness in things that you are asking yourself, is this important? That is taking me a lot longer to read something like Harry Potter, for instance. So I'm going to say this one, and yes, there's a bookmark in it because I did restart it. It by Stephen King, and like I think this one is longer than Gone with the Wind. I don't know yet. I'll have to double check. I would have to double check, or maybe one of you guys can answer for me. But although each edition I think is a different amount of pages for all books, like this particular one is 1,473 pages. Okay, so 1,473, and I don't know how many pages. And of course, I'm pretty sure most people know what this is about because it recently came out as a major motion picture, but it has been adapted for the screen before. But that was the it was a mini series, so it was kind of a cross between a movie and a TV series. But in case you've been living under a rock and don't know, this is basically about this town of Derry, Maine, and how the town is haunted by this mysterious alien force that calls himself, that basically becomes whatever you're afraid of. and it takes on the form, its favorite form is a clown, hence the clown on the cover. And a group of 7 friends that are kind of outcast. One of them is kind of talks with his, puts his foot in his mouth a lot. He's a jokester, and that's Richie. Then you have, and the leader is Bill, and he's, you know, his brother's one of Pennywise's first victims. That's the clown's name. He has a stutter. Then you have Beverly, who is from the part of town where the poor people live, so she's considered white trash. Her dad sexually abuses her. You have Ben, who just moved here. His dad died of cancer, and he's overweight. He's a chubby kid. You have Stan Uris, who is Jewish, so, and he's constantly bullied for that. And then you have Mike Hanlon in the book. The kids, the first half of the book when their characters are kids, is set during the 1950s, so there's still a lot of racism. So Mike is a black kid, and because he's black, a lot of white people that are white people bullied him. You have Eddie, who has OCD. It's just him and his mom. His mom is very controlling, a bit neurotic, telling him, I don't want you taking showers with the other boys in gym class because you'll get their germs, or x-rays will give you cancer kind of mentality. And I think I sent all of them, I think. And these kids find each other and come together, and they come together and work together to defeat Pennywise. But Pennywise, who returns every 27 years, they do not defeat him, they do not kill him, and Pennywise comes back. So one of the members who stay behind has to call all the others to come back, because they promised to return if Pennywise did. But the problem is that once you leave Derry, this veil goes over your memory, and you begin to forget about this town. So to defeat Pennywise, they must remember their childhood and what happened the summer that they battled it. And it's such a great, and this is Stephen King, so of course, unless you're just not a fan of his, and not everybody is. I know that not everybody loves him, and not everybody can get into his work, and some people even don't say, they don't like some of the things he puts in this book, and he's also known for writing bad endings. In fact, in the movie part 2 to when this was made into a movie, in part 2, they kind of make fun of that with saying that Bill, who becomes a novelist, they don't like his endings. He has bad endings. But this is just a book about, not just about fighting this monster, but it's about these kids and their innocence, their childhood, and their love for each other, the bond that they share. And again, like the loss of innocence. So I feel like with Stephen King, his books always are more than just horror books. They're about so much more than that. Yes, there's a lot of horror, and I guess you could say that, I don't know if you would consider that a gimmick or not. Or maybe it's not a gimmick because most of his books are horror, but it's so great. There are times when it's very slow, and he's a very detail-oriented author. It's a modern, this is modern, so it's a modern writing style. It's not like a Dickens novel or anything, but it's still very detailed. And sometimes I think I could imagine people thinking some of the details he includes, are these details necessary? And of course, this was when I think that he wrote this when he was, on drugs or something, or like doing coke. So there are some weird things, and there is the infamous scene that, everybody will probably know what I'm talking about, the infamous scene that comes in the climax of the first half, I think. It's a bit of a disturbing scene. And I'm sure most people know what I'm talking about. And I think for a lot of people, that does prevent them from giving this 5 stars or absolutely loving it because of that moment. And then probably the ending of the book, people don't like. But, like I said, I read this before and I wanted to read it again. And I did start it, but then I got sidetracked by other books. So, okay, so next question number 6, ugly sweaters. What's the ugliest book you own now? As I explained in the other question number 2 in the beginning of the video, I don't really like book covers. I don't, think about if it's considered ugly or not. And some people will probably consider a lot of my books ugly because I have a lot of paperbacks, a lot of mass market paperbacks. I wish I still had the Orc book. I can't remember the author's name, but there was an author. He wrote those books about orcs, like take the whole plot of Lord of the Rings, but put it in the orc's perspective, and that's what that book was. But I just couldn't get in. Like, I started it, but then I kind of got bored with it, and I just couldn't get into it, so I got rid of it. But the cover had an orc on it, so it was not the prettiest. But I don't have it, so the best I just grabbed one of my the Dark Elf trilogy books because Drizzt is not the prettiest looking guy. And this is also those old covers, like from the 90s and 80s. You see these on those, like a lot of these fantasy books, like the Dragon Realms or Forgotten, like Dungeon and Dragons inspired book novels. These publishers were the ones who published Dragonlance. I just want to buy those again. I love the Dragonlance books. Those are probably the first longest books I ever read. Is the Dragonlance books. But yeah, this guy is not the prettiest looking guy. It's probably not the best choice because it's so far away. But that's the best I can do. I'm sure there are like covers on here that people would find uglier than this one, but I like that one. So I chose that one. And I guess you could say Pennywise is kind of an ugly. This face of Pennywise, the clown, is kind of ugly too. But I didn't want. I tried to avoid using the same book for 2 questions. Okay, so next is 7, Blizzard. A book set in the winter or a book that gives you the chills and dark themes. Okay, so I didn't pick a winter book, a book set during winter. I'm sure there were others I could find, like, I'm trying to think of what's some other. Oh, you know what? I get a better one. But first let me show you this one. So basically, originally this is the one I grabbed because again, Stephen King. All his books have mostly horror elements. This is about this young family. Our main character is Lewis Creed, and he gets a job at a college. He's a doctor, and he takes his young family to this small town in Maine, of course, and they move to a house that is on a major back road. Major highway where there's a lot of traffic. And Lewis is told by their neighbor across the street, or I think he's across the street, that there's a lot of traffic on this road, and a lot of people lose their pets on this road or little ones on this road. And he is also told that behind their house, he's shown this, that behind their house is a pet cemetery. Where a lot of kids, because of all this heavy traffic, that there's a lot of accidents, kids bury their pets there. But unfortunately, beyond that cemetery, there's another cemetery that is a Indian Native American burial ground where some weird stuff happens. And that's all I'm gonna say. This book is very creepy. It does have a more. It's not. It's actually not as it's creepy, but it's not. It has Stephen King's signature creepiness, but it's also a lot more like disturbing and heartbreaking than it is creepy. Okay, so I just remembered another book that would be perfect. So let me I probably have a lot more other books that I could have shown you guys. I probably have a lot more other books that I could have shown you that are set during winter time. But I didn't feel like, checking and trying to figure out which ones I grabbed the first. But I do remember that this one, since it's during a school year and it takes place in Vermont, there is a lot of wintry scenes in this book. In fact, our main character, Richard, at one point, while his new friends at the school in Vermont are away visiting families, he ends up being stuck at the school during wintertime, the winter break, and he's not as well off as the other kids, so he basically starts to freeze his ass off. So there's a very descriptive wintry chapter in this book. So I think this is a great. I'm still reading The Goldfinch by Keith Debate, and after watching Sam from Thoughts of Tom's video, I'm nervous that I'm gonna no longer want to be as into The Goldfinch. But sorry, I saw that little sticker for The Goldfinch, which won the Pulitzer Prize in 2014. But that one's a very sad book throughout. Okay, so that's my more wintry answer for that one. Okay, so so we're at the last question. Question number 8. Home for the holidays. For rereaders out there, are there any books that feel like going home? Now, I don't reread a lot because I buy so many books and I'm like, oh, I have to get to this book, I have to get to this book, and so but I'm gonna say, the book I chose for this that I would, if I did reread it, feels like going home, is the Harry Potter series. I think a lot of people feel this way, despite all the controversy that comes along with J.K. Rowling herself and the whole Fantastic Beasts franchise and all that, and the whole thing with Johnny Depp being tied to the movie. Now people aren't happy about that, and just her keep on adding all these different things to the movie, revealing some things about the story and about the original story. That's but anyway, this still feels like a going home, kind of gives a warm, fuzzy going home kind of feeling. And I was going to say this for the question number 4, The Crackling Fire, a book that makes you feel warm and cozy, but I decided I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to use the same book for 2 questions. But I don't think I have to really explain this book. It's Harry Potter. It just feels so warm and fuzzy, and I think a lot of people feel warm and fuzzy feelings towards the series, even though towards the second half of the series, it gets very intense and scary. But just especially the first book, it's just, you see this magical world, magical school where everybody, I think a lot of people who read this book would have loved to go to that school, would have loved to receive their Hogwarts acceptance letter saying, you're a wizard and you get to go to the wizard Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and the whole the magical world, the two little towns that Harry goes to, little towns or shopping areas that he goes to, like Hogsmeade, which is we get to in the third book. And of course, and then Diagon Alley. It's just there's such a warm feeling towards this series for a lot of people, including myself. And it's just when you read it, it is like going home because a lot of people my age grew up with this series. So it's just like going back to your early teen or childhood years, and just remembering all the all the magic and the memories that come with this series. Because I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of memories with reading this series, and it's just so like it's such a great series. And a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for this series, and including myself. Okay, I'm gonna stop there for now. So that is the Cozy Christmas book tag, and if you want to do this tag, I will copy and paste the questions below, and I will also post the link to the person who did this tag. Call Me After Coffee. And if you like this tag, you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I hope you're enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!